In Project 2, we're going to take a look at how we can customize the Excel work environment, and we're going to do that by learning how to pin workbooks to the recent workbooks list. We'll also learn to add buttons to the quick access toolbar, which is up here, and then we'll learn to minimize the ribbon, which is this is your ribbon. We'll learn to minimize that so that you have more space in your worksheet. We'll also learn to change some of the display options. We'll create a custom ribbon tab. These are the tabs that we have right now, but you can create a custom one that has your own buttons on there. And then we'll also learn to create custom views, which allow you essentially to set specific column widths, row heights, specify hidden rows or columns, filter settings. You can save all those settings under a name and quickly get to them through custom views. So there's a lot of new tools that you'll probably experience through this project too, just by customizing the work environment. The first thing that we're going to look at is pinning workbooks to the recent workbooks list. And by default, this is found in the Backstage view. You can see the recent workbooks list here. By default, 20 of those are in the most recently opened workbooks or recently used. You'll notice here I've already pinned a few to my recent workbooks. I'm making the assumption that I go to those frequently. So anytime that you're wanting to open a workbook frequently, you might want to consider pinning it to this workbook list so you can quickly get to it. You also have on the far right a folder list that again allows you to quickly access folders and open up files within those folders. So again, that's in the Backstage view. And so we're going to learn how to pin them to this recent workbook list. And before I do that, I'm going to open a file from the Chapter 7 folder, Noranda, I don't know how you say that, Noranda Winter Swim School. Let's double click on that. Now, I guess that's schedule, not school, sorry. So here's our schedule. You can see mornings, afternoons, and evenings, the times, the pool, the activities, all those are listed in this schedule. And they just essentially wanted us to open that up, and then we're going to close it. By doing that, if we go back to the Backstage view, you'll notice that that was in the most recently used list now. And what they want us to do is to pin that, and to pin it, you just click on the push pin here on the right hand side, and that pins it. Notice it adds it to my list of pinned items. They also wanted us to go back the macros file that we created in the last project. They want us to pin that as well. So you'll notice now it's added to the pinned areas, and they're in alphabetical order, as you'll notice there. Okay. Then you can quickly open those. As I mentioned previously, if I want to click on macros, that'll immediately open up that workbook. And same thing with Noranda Winter Swim Schedule. You can open that workbook very quickly without having to search through the folders and areas on your flash drive or on your C drive. And then we're going to unpin both of these by again going back to the Backstage view into the recent area, and I'm going to click on the pins to unpin them. Notice now it drops down to the recently open, and again it keeps track of the last 20, so that's pretty good. And then the Noranda Winter Swim Schedule, I'm going to unpin that as well. So notice it goes back down to the regular list. Okay. Next, we're going to look at customizing the quick access toolbar at the top. And I've essentially had previous commands up there. You may have seen me use those commands actually. The new workbook, the print preview, they go through steps in Project 2B of showing you how to add these buttons to the quick access toolbar. And I'm actually going to add the buttons that I need, the ones that I most frequently use, to this quick access toolbar. So I'm going to click on the drop down arrow at the end of the toolbar. Some of the buttons or the commands that I need are in the list here. New is one of them. So it adds a new button. So if I want to go to a new workbook, I can quickly do that rather than going to the File tab and clicking on New. Okay. Also, I want to add Print Preview and Print so that I can quickly do a print preview in a workbook. And so there's others on here. If there are commands that you would like to add to the toolbar and they're not listed here, you can go to More Commands, and it shows most popular commands are listed here. But if the most popular command is not the one that you want to add to the Quick Access toolbar, you can certainly go to All Commands, and it'll list all of those out in alphabetical order. So you can find any of them, choose what you want, and add it. Okay, and that'll add it to the Quick Access toolbar. So great way of being able to get tools, commands at your fingertips by adding those to the Quick Access toolbar. I'm going to add one more sort ascending. Let's say I've added that to my Quick Access toolbar. If I want to delete that, I'm no longer using it, it's not quite as popular as I'd originally had thought, I can go back into the More Commands option, and on the right hand side, if I want to delete any of these, I can click on them and then notice here the Remove option, and that removes it from the Quick Access toolbar. Alright, next we're going to look at how we can kind of change our work area on our screen. For example, if I wanted to minimize the ribbon, to get rid of the ribbon, there's a button near the Help button in the upper right hand corner. If I click on that, that minimizes the ribbon. That gives me a little bit more workspace in order to see the information within my workbook. Obviously, if I'd make the window larger, you would see more information and data on the worksheet as well. But then to get back the ribbon, I can just click on that same button and it pulls it back. But for now, I'm going to minimize the ribbon. They also want us to remove the row numbers and also the column letters at the top, in addition to removing the grid lines. So we're going to, and the formula bar. Since there are no formula bars in this worksheet, we don't necessarily need the formula bar displaying as well. So we're going to take a look at some ways of getting rid of these additional parts. Also, the sheet tabs can be removed, and that would give us a little bit more room at the bottom as well. So I'm going to go ahead and save this before we go any further. Let me maximize the ribbon again. We'll save it as they've requested here. And Excel Level 2, Chapter 7, Project 2. Okay. So we've got it saved with the name that they suggest. Now, to turn off the formula bar and also to remove the sheet tabs, turn off the row and column headers and the grid lines, all those that I've mentioned previously, we're going to go to the File tab, and at the bottom there we're going to go to Options. And on the left hand side, we're going to go to the Advanced category. And we're going to drop down. You can see the editing options, cut and paste. We want to go to the display portion. You've got a display area, display options for this workbook, display options for the worksheet. And so we're going to go through and make some changes within each one of those areas. In the display section, we want to click on the formula bar where it says Show Formula Bar. We're going to click on that to remove the formula bar. And then options for this workbook, we want to remove the sheet tabs. So I'm going to click on that to remove the sheet tabs. I'm going to scroll down a little bit further. For the worksheet, we want to remove the row and column headers and also the grid lines. So two different options in there as well. And to accept all those, I don't know if you can see this, but at the bottom of that dialog box, I'm going to click OK. Notice the formula bar is gone, the row and column headings are gone, the grid lines are gone, the sheet tabs are gone, and also minimize the ribbon. Now we can see quite a bit of the data that's in this swimming schedule. And actually it should look pretty similar to the figure that you see on page 231. Okay, so those are just some ways that you can customize the work environment within a worksheet. And I'm going to go ahead and close this for a minute. We're going to save it, close out of it. going to go to a new workbook. And you'll notice when you go to a new workbook, we get some of these items back, the rows and column headings, the grid lines, because in the previous workbook we did specify to display, make the changes for just that worksheet. Now, if we wanted to get back the ribbon, you can click on that. That easily pulls that back, and that's not a problem. Let's go back and open up. I need to add that because I like open right there. We're going to open up the Noranda winter swim schedule. By doing that, notice it remembered to keep the sheet tabs hidden, the row and column headings hidden, grid lines are turned off, the formula bar is also hidden as well. Okay, so it saved it with that workbook. Okay, I'm going to close out of that. We're going to redisplay the formula bar and see what else do they want us to do. Expand the ribbon, redisplay the formula bar. Yeah, that's all we need to do on this one. So the formula bar is still missing. So let's go back to the File tab under Options. Again, it's in the Advanced category. And in the Display area, we want to show a formula bar. And again, I'm going to click OK at the bottom of that dialog box, and now the formula bar is being displayed. Next, we're going to look at how we can customize the ribbon. They're going to show us how we can insert it a new tab, and actually we'll call that new tab our name, and then within that new tab we're going to add some buttons that supposedly we frequently use or want to group together. You can also add new buttons, new groups to the existing tabs that you have. That's perfectly fine. Like in the Review tab, if you want to add another group, you could add another group and buttons to that particular tab. Or, like I mentioned before, you can add a whole new tab and a whole new set of groups and buttons within that tab. Okay. On page 234, Project 2F, they want us to open up a workbook. Named National Accounting Department JE, and they want us to save it under a new name. Excel Level 2, Chapter 7, Project 2. And I want to save that into the online classwork. Alright, so we're going to add to the ribbon by creating a new tab, and then we'll add two new groups within that tab. So to do that, to add a new tab, we're going to go to the File tab, and then we're going to Options. And then on the left-hand side, you can see a category that says Customize Ribbon. And you'll notice the Customize Ribbon, we can pull in commands here. Customize the ribbon at the bottom of this dialog box. You're going to see that we can create a new tab, new group, we can rename them, whatever. What we want to do is place a new tab under the Insert tab. So to do that, we're going to click the Insert, not under it, we're going to place it to the right of it so that it appears to the right of that Insert tab. And if you'll want to, just to see kind of what we're shooting for here, if you look on page 237, in the middle there after step 9A, you can kind of see how the new tab is going to be called Your First and Last Name. It'll have a statistics group and also a borders group. There's two groups in there. We're going to add 2 buttons in the borders group, 3 buttons in the statistics group. But notice where it's positioned. It's between Insert and Page Layout. So if you click on the Insert in the main tab, then as we add a new tab, notice it goes right underneath it between Insert and Page Layout. Okay? We're going to add 2 groups, as I mentioned before. One of them is going to be statistics, one of them is going to be borders. So I'm going to go ahead and click on, let's go back up to New tab. We'll add another new group. Notice those new groups fall underneath that. And then we're going to start naming these. The tab itself, if you'll click on the Rename button below, you want that to be the first and last name, whatever your first and last name is. Notice that's renamed it. One of the group names, you can either right click on this and choose rename, I'm going to call it borders. I misspelled that, didn't I? And then the other one, again, you can click on it to select it and choose rename, or you can right click on it, however you want to do that. The other one's going to be called statistics. Alright. Then, once those have been named, we're going to add buttons to each one of those groups. So to the borders group, we're going to add a button, and that button is going to be found from, I'm actually going to grab it from the all commands. And as you remember, these are all in alphabetical order. One of the border types that we want is the thick bottom border. Thick bottom border. So I'm going to click on that, add it. Notice it comes right underneath my borders group. And then the other type of border that we want is the top and double bottom border. Top and double bottom border. And I'm going to add that. Again, that goes within that group. Okay, and then for statistics, for the statistics group, I want to add another set of buttons. Again, I'm just going to keep in the all commands. The first one that I want to add is average. And again, I'll add. Notice it comes right underneath that. The other one is maximum, which you're familiar with all these built-in functions to begin with. Ooh, we also want min, but we're going to grab max. We'll add that. And scroll down just a little bit further, and we want the min, and we'll add that. So we've got 3 buttons that we've added within that group. Okay? Then, once they've been added, all of these, you can add symbols to them for the, and they're only going to do this with the calculations here, the built-in functions. They want to add a calculator so that the calculator symbol shows to the left of each one of these functions. So to do that, we're going to go back into the rename option, choose the symbol, we're going to choose a calculator, click OK. Notice the calculator appears to the sum function. Do the same thing with max. This time I'm right-clicking and choosing rename, choosing the same calculator. Min is the same one. Keep adding, but you could add any of those symbols to those. Hopefully you'll choose a symbol that kind of reflects what the function does. Okay, I'm going to click OK. Notice the new tab that appears with your first and last name. When you click on that, there are 2 groups within that tab, and 2 buttons within the borders group, 3 buttons within the statistics group. So now we're going to actually use those buttons. We're going to start out in cell A3, and in A3 we want to add a thick bottom border. So we're going to use the thick bottom border button. That adds the thick bottom border. Then we're going to go to B6, select that through H6, and in this one we want to add again the thick bottom border. In D18, we're going to scroll down just a little bit. In D18 we want to add the top and double bottom border. D20. In D20 we want to use the average button. Click on average, and the average actually is going to be D7 through D19. Okay, so in that one we want to only include just these numbers. We don't want to include the whatever that is. Is that a total? I don't know what that amount is. But in any event, we'll check it in just a second. But it should only include D7 through D17. Okay, I'll click OK. Okay, that's a sum of those numbers, and you do not want to include that in your average. Okay, maximum, same thing. You want to use the maximum button. And again, this time we want just D7 through D17. Pressing enter to that. Minimum, same thing. We want the same range, D7 through D17. So now we have average, max, min. All of those functions we could have gotten from the Home tab in our sum drop down there. Same thing. It's just that these are all grouped together now in under a new tab. Okay? And then they asked us to save this workbook. And then at the bottom of page 237 in step 11, they asked to create a screen image of the worksheet showing the custom tab in a new Microsoft Word document. You can either use the print screen with the paste option, or you can use the screenshot feature, and they give you the steps for that, or the Windows snipping tool. Make sure you know how to do that. I may ask you to create a new tab in Excel and add a couple of groups with buttons in it, and I need to know that you know how to do that. So I'm going to use the print screen option. I'm just clicking or pressing print screen on my computer. That puts it out on the clipboard. Then I can open up Word, and in Word I can paste, and that shows me then the new tab that was created, and also the categories, the groups that were made, and the buttons that were added. So make sure, if you don't want to do it that particular, using those particular steps, you can use the screenshot feature. You can also use the window snipping tool. I don't care how you do that, but just make sure that you know how to get it into a Word document so that I can see that you know how to save those. All right, I'm going to close out of that. They mention on page 238, Project 2G, they want us to go back and customize the ribbon, which either at Ivy Tech or maybe in the labs at Ivy Tech and also the Workforce Certification Center, when you shut off the computer and they turn on or upload and use Office again, it resets all this anyway. But to reset the ribbon, they ask that we go back to the options category, back into customize ribbon, same way that we went to customize the ribbon and add the new tab. They want us to reset, this is at the bottom, let me resize this so you can see this a little bit better. They want us to reset the ribbon, reset all customizations. So this also does it to the quick access toolbar. I'll say yes to that since we need to. Click OK. Notice my quick access toolbar, I lost those buttons that I love, not love, but I use a lot. So I'm going to add those back, but the ribbon's back to normal. It's removed the new tab that we just created. So make sure that you know how to do that as well.